Never. Welcome to iCannabis Radio on Monday night. Today is August 13th, and there's a whole lot going on. And wow, most of you are hopefully listening to this. If you're local, you have been at the Denver City Council meeting tonight, and you have signed up to speak in regards to the advertising ban that we talked about last week. And the City Council needs to hear your voice. So please, please, please make sure that they understand that you think that taking away people's First Amendment rights and a broad ban of advertising makes no sense to you. So they expect this to be a long City Council meeting, and if you're not there, you can, listen to us and then run over there. But we have a whole bunch of interesting things that we want to talk about tonight. Things have been busy around Denver and around the states. One of the things that we haven't talked about in a little while that I wanted to mention is, you guys know that we have had Cash Hyde's father on. Cash Hyde is now 3 years old, and he has brain cancer and has been a medical marijuana patient in Montana. And unfortunately, Montana reversed their medical marijuana laws. And so Cash has been unable to get his medicine in the way that his parents would like, which is to purchase it in a dispensary setting. But Cash had been doing better and has taken a little bit of a back step. And so we want you to put your thoughts and positive feelings out for Cash Hyde and his family. As you probably remember, the Cash Hyde Foundation, Cash Hyde, CASHHYDE Foundation.com, CashHydeFoundation.com. Their mission is to fight cancer with smiles and prayers and positive energy, and provide information and financial support for children with cancer and their families. One of the things that they do is they decorate they call them reggae runners, and they decorate the wagons that kids use to get around the floors in the hospital. There's nothing kind of more pleasant for a kid to be able to get out of the setting and move around a little bit. And when you have wires attached to you and all those kinds of things, it's a little bit challenging. So they have these really cool wagons, and the reggae runners are decorated with Jamaican colors, and it's exciting, and kids love them, and it adds a little bit of fun and excitement to the kids who are in the cancer wards and their families. So please visit the Cash Hyde Foundation, CashHydeFoundation.com, and donate, send out some positive words. Let the Hyde family know that you're thinking about their kid for sure. Lots of kind of fun over the weekend. The clinic's golf tournament was on Saturday. Did you have fun, Chris? I know you're not mic'd.
I sure did.
He sure did, he says. We had a table at the clinic's golf tournament raising money for the Multiple Sclerosis Foundation to do research and finally find a cure for this debilitating disease. And it was a fun-filled, packed house full of people, pretty exciting. House, really golf course. It was outside. Lots of prizes and golfers. And what was interesting to me? Golfers on a beautiful morning, they can be pissed off. Like, these guys were, if they weren't doing what they thought they ought to be doing and shooting what they thought they ought to be shooting, they were a little frustrated. So, but at the end of the day, it was a good time, and people got prizes, and we really want to thank our friend Ryan Cook over at the clinic for such a great day. And the clinic does a lot of great work and raises a lot of money, and we really appreciate what they do. I will say, having mentioned the golf tournament, one of the things that the language in the Denver City Council's proposal for the advertising ban, some of the language does say that they accept advertising in relation to a charity event. So the clinic is able to sponsor a charity event, and that advertising is okay. So strangely enough, at least they would be able to continue to sponsor their great events and other great events like them. I will talk a little bit more about the City Council event because I'm frustrated by it, as you guys know from listening last week. I think that the industry, those in the industry who supported the ban, they felt like the language that they agreed to was some sort of compromise, was a happy medium. And as you guys know from talking to Mike Elliott of the Medical Marijuana Industry Group last week, that it wasn't really his intention to have what he called a compromise, although he did use that word. The original language talked about a ban of advertising within 1,000 feet of a school, a park, or a daycare, and this language is far-reaching and potentially includes all kinds of unintended advertising types. For example, as we mentioned last week, if someone is wearing a T-shirt from a medical marijuana center or business, is that considered outdoor advertising? How far-reaching is it? Is a lighter considered outdoor advertising? There are all of these questions that the language is so vague that it could certainly encompass. And it sounds like there was some discussion at the City Council meeting about T-shirts in particular, and that was intended to be something that was banned. What I find really interesting is that, kids of all ages, shapes, and sizes, parents, boys and girls living next door, wear all kinds of T-shirts advertising things that they have nothing to do with. Underage kids wearing T-shirts promoting alcohol or tobacco, and this could really have a far-reaching effect on those things as well. It's to me it's really disappointing. I'm really disappointed that we determined that we, meaning the broad we, somehow determined that this kind of ban is okay, that our industry is lesser than other industries, that we don't deserve to have a fair ability to run our businesses, and that we just roll over and say that that's okay is pretty frustrating. So, as I said, do what you can. There's also a website, www.stopdenveradban.com, stopdenveradban.com, or you can sign a petition to the City Council stating your feelings about the advertising ban, and that you believe that Council Bill 586 is too far-reaching, and that you're not interested in following that. So all of those things are pretty exciting and interesting, both the pros and the cons and the pluses and the minuses. And I think we're going to take a little break right now, and we'd like to thank our friends at Medical Marijuana of the Rockies. Medical Marijuana of the Rockies is your mountain source for meds. They also have some of the best immature plants in the state. You can check out their website at mmrockies.com. That's mmrockies.com for their ever-changing strain selection, as well as the immature plants that they have available. Medical Marijuana of the Rockies is located in Frisco, off of exit 203 in Frisco, Colorado, up in Summit County. It's a beautiful day, time of year to go to the mountains. Beautiful, especially when you're able to see some of those crazy meteor showers. So go up and visit our friends at Medical Marijuana of the Rockies. Make sure that you tell Aaron and Jerry that you heard about them on iCannabis Radio. We'll be right back.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at WarrenEdson.com.
Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706.
Hi. Welcome back. So some other interesting things that have been going on. And one of the things that is kind of exciting, we know we've been following the New Jersey situation and getting New Jersey on board. And we've talked with Ann Davis, our friend and attorney in New Jersey, as she works diligently to get the state to finally enact its medical marijuana law. And what happened on Friday, but lo and behold, finally, the medical marijuana program in New Jersey takes off. More than 2 years ago, the program was enacted. However, there were no medical marijuana centers, no dispensaries. And in New Jersey was the 17th state to permit medical marijuana, but possession and use of the drug is in violation of federal law, of course. However, finally, a dispensary has been given the go-ahead, and that's great news. We will talk in the next couple of weeks with Ann Davis about how that's going and what that looks like. But definitely, it's a step in the right direction, despite the fact that the governor has put all kinds of roadblocks in place, and they don't have a regulation set up. They're at least moving in the right direction. So hopefully, the Greenleaf Compassion Center of Montclair, New Jersey, will open its doors in September, pending its final permits, and patients will be able to get access to their medicine in New Jersey. Baby steps, right? we're all about the baby steps right now. We'll take what we can get, and while it's been a long time coming, at least there is some light at the end of the tunnel. And with all of the federal intervention that California has endured and that Colorado has had a taste of, it's nice to see that some states are starting, their burgeoning industry, and hopefully there'll be a place where finally, with all of these states that are moving forward, the federal government will have to take a look at what's they're using their resources on and decide that medical marijuana patients and marijuana users in general are not where they want to spend their resources. Which brings me, of course, to my next topic, which is always voting. So we in this election year, it's not just important to vote on the amendments, for example, Amendment 64 that would regulate marijuana like alcohol. Those things are important too, but it's really important to vote, to do your research and vote thoughtfully about the candidates that are running. We heard over the weekend, of course, that Mitt Romney just named his vice presidential running mate, despite the fact that he's yet to get the nomination from the Republican Party. But I guess that doesn't really matter. That'll happen in time. And this is a gentleman who really puts a new face on being a conservative. He's a gentleman who believes that the Medicare system should be dismantled and reworked. And if you are a person over the age of 63, that probably is really, really important to you. He voted against the Equal Pay Act, doesn't believe that women should get equal pay. This is a 42-year-old man who comes straight out of conservative 1950, and it's pretty scary. What's interesting to me, I will say, is that while I am not pro-Romney, he has taken a states' rights stance in the past, and it's difficult to take a states' rights stance in one time and then not take a states' rights stance in another situation. So hopefully he will be thoughtful about that, although he has said that he believes that marijuana is a gateway drug and is not pro-medical marijuana. So Mitt Romney would be detrimental to the furthering of medical marijuana, but we'll have to see what he would do in terms of DEA action and those kinds of things. but definitely Paul Ryan is an interesting choice as vice president, and that is one very conservative ticket. So yeah, it's not very exciting, not very exciting at all. So there's been some other things that have been pretty huge this past week, and not necessarily in a good way, and in fact not really in a nice way at all. One of the things that happened recently was, and Warren will have to talk more about this when we talk to him next week, that a case out of Arapahoe County, Colorado, really made some precedent-setting case law that is going to be really difficult for the medical marijuana industry. They made a case, and you can read more about it on the Westward blogs at blogs.westward.com under the medical marijuana subtitle, and look for the case about the title Medical Marijuana at State Level Found Illegal and Potential Blockbuster Court Ruling. Essentially what they did is they determined that because the subject is federally illegal, any contract mentioning medical marijuana is invalid. And so any contract that you have with regards to purchasing something from a vendor, your lease, promissory notes, all those kinds of things, if they mention an illegal substance, if they mention marijuana, then this court ruling says that those are not valid and enforceable contracts. So essentially, any contract dispute that mentions the two parties are disputing over something medical marijuana related, that's an invalid contract, and that is an unenforceable contract. And so essentially they would say, well, sorry that party A owes party B money according to this contract, but this contract isn't enforceable, so they'd wash their hands at it. It's based on a case by Blue Sky Care Connection, which was a dispensary in Littleton, Colorado. And the plaintiff of that case maintained that he delivered approximately $40,000 worth of medical marijuana between June and October of 2010, but he never received compensation in forms of cash or other potential business partners, those kinds of things. And that grower took Blue Sky to court, and the file briefs explained that the court should not declare the purported contract void against public policy, meaning that at the point in time that this case was originally heard, the judge said, yes, this is a valid contract and you should be compensated. A judge went back later on and said that if the disputed contract violates federal law, it would be against public policy and would be void and unenforceable. So after deciding on his own to go ahead and re-review that case, he made this case law. So I think attorneys all over the state of Colorado and probably in other medical marijuana states as well are trying to determine what exactly needs to happen with regards to this case, and what it needs to happen in terms of any contracts that medical marijuana businesses and entities enter into. So it's a pretty crazy and potentially damaging suit that could make running a typical business really, really challenging if you can't have a contract between two parties and have those contracts enforceable. So it's another unfortunate ding into the industry that's going to have to be dealt with on top of all of these other things. As if running a business isn't challenging enough, but all of these roadblocks that are put in the way of the medical marijuana industry just make things that much more challenging and that much more frustrating. And really all people are trying to do is get good meds to their patients and run tax-paying, law-abiding businesses. So, again, please contact your congresspeople. Please contact your elected officials and let them know how frustrating this is to you. Colorado has benefited greatly from medical marijuana businesses. The tax revenue has been amazing. Colorado knows that. The city of Denver knows that. They know that the revenue that they've received has allowed the state to move forward in an incredibly difficult recession. And so it's so unfortunate that they can see it on one hand, but on the other hand struggle so greatly with just putting these roadblocks in place, as if the licensing fees and application fees and those kinds of things aren't draining enough. But now the lease that you've entered into, that you're required to have by state regulation, is now void and unenforceable. It's just really it's kind of crazy. Don't you think it's kind of crazy? Yes, everyone thinks it's kind of crazy. Yeah, and so it's such a dichotomy. So we go to this golf tournament, and everyone, so many people in the industry are there, and they've given money to play in this charity golf tournament, and companies have donated prizes and money and all these kinds of things just to make sure that the MS Society receives money to be able to do this research, and it's such a feel-good thing. And then you turn around and you think, gosh, why is it that we can't sign a lease that says that we're a medical marijuana business? Why is it that we can't advertise our businesses in places where everyone else advertises their businesses? I mean, it's so frustrating, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. And what's amazing is that the industry continues to flourish despite the fact that we've been given hit after hit after hit, and patients continue to get good, reasonably priced medicine in the place of their choice. So I applaud the industry for fighting through these really challenging things, and I hope that they continue to be strong. So on that note, I think it's a good time for us to take a little break, and we are sponsored also by Nodo Urban Garden Supply. It is located at 1330 27th Street between Larimer and Walnut Street on 27th in Denver, just a few blocks northeast of Coors Field. Nodo Urban Garden Supply has your biggest source of your growing needs, of your garden supply needs in downtown Denver. Whether you are a hobby cultivationist or you are a commercial grower, Nodo Urban Garden Supply is your place to go. They have fantastic compost tea, as we've talked about time and time again. Free to their customers, just bring a container and get that wonderful nutrient compost tea for your plants at home. And as you know, our friend Levi does a grow spot on iCannabis Radio. So go into Nodo Urban Garden Supply and ask for Levi, and make sure you say you heard about Nodo Urban Garden Supply on iCannabis Radio. They're open 6 days a week and will be able to meet all of your gardening needs. Again, that's Nodo Urban Garden Supply, Nodo Urban Garden Supply. And you're listening to iCannabis Radio, and we will be right back.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding, Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it. On grass. Runongrass.com.
Are listening to iCannabis Radio. It's Monday night, and I am Georgia. We've had some interesting little technical issues, so if we look like we're a little deer in the headlights, I apologize. It seems to be all on our end, and you guys are all listening to everything just peachy keen. But if you are on the chat room and wonder why I'm not chatting with you, it's because it's not working on my end. So we've had some conversations about some not so fun things, and I want to have a little bit of talk about some cool stuff. You know, we have some great shows on iCannabis Radio, and it's just so great that our shows keep growing and we keep having new topics and new people. And one of the things that has been really fun is we have gotten a whole slew of new listeners based on our new shows. So they start to listen to one show and then they come on over and listen to the other shows, and that's been pretty fun. So if this is your first time listening to the Monday show, welcome. And normally I laugh a lot more, but I think that these technical difficulties have gotten me scratching my head a little bit. So tomorrow night is Tuesday night, and from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Mountain Time, we have American Weed Realm Radio. As you guys know, these are our friends, the Stanley brothers from the National Geographic show American Weed. They run a wonderful nonprofit called the Realm of Caring, and their show really revolves around helping their cancer patients and helping people understand the science of cannabis. So please listen to them. Again, that's 6:30 to 8 on Tuesdays. And right after that is Sexpot Radio. And guess what they talk about on Sexpot Radio? They talk about sex and they talk about pot. Yep, you got it, Jason. Absolutely. And Jenny Cush has a series of co-hosts, of revolving co-hosts, and she hosts it with her dear friend and lover, Jeremy. And it's just a fantastic show. So they're on from 8 to 10 on Tuesdays. Wednesdays, IDAB Radio. It's from 7 to 9. These are the guys from Top Shelf Extracts. Make sure to keep your life top shelf. And they will talk about all things dabs and have extract makers from all over the country talk about their skill and their product and what they do and how they do it. And it's pretty great. And Thursdays, of course, is Overgrow the Radio with Stickman and Elisa. Yet another wonderful political show where Stickman kicks people's asses and takes their names later. And then, of course, Monday nights is Georgia and Warren. And next Monday, we will be talking about our monthly cannabis history lesson, which is always a good time with our friend Greg Dower. So we're always kind of shocked and amazed at what interesting things he comes up with, especially in regards to the cannabis history in Denver. One of the things that he started to talk about last month, and I think he's going to continue this month, is there has been a long history of cannabis and the jazz musicians and that kind of history in Denver. And he's going to talk a little bit more about that on this upcoming Monday. So I haven't done a plug for Run on Grass in quite some time and really want to talk a little bit about Run on Grass. For those of you that aren't familiar, Run on Grass, of course you hear the ad for it every single show on iCannabis Radio, is a group of runners who really do their best to get the word out about marijuana legalization in a very unlikely setting. It's not that often that you see medical marijuana advocates running in races with marijuana leaves on their shirts, which won't be illegal under the Denver ban because it won't be advertising a medical marijuana business, just so you know that. But Run on Grass has some upcoming runs, and there is one on Friday night that I'm excited about called the Firefly Run. It starts at 8:30 at night in Denver, and the whole idea is that everyone runs with glow sticks like fireflies. I thought that's pretty cool. And then on Sunday is the Drenched 5K, and it is a 5K where you go through a series of obstacles, water obstacles, not sort of like a warrior run, but more like sprinklers and water guns. So pretty fun runs coming up. Also, Run on Grass is going to be running. I'm going to run my first full marathon in September, on September 22nd, the Rock and Roll Marathon in Denver. If this little stress fracture in my foot heals in time, I should be just fine. If you're interested in learning more about Run on Grass, please don't hesitate to visit the website at www.runongrass.com. Also, you can like our Facebook page, Run on Grass on Facebook. You can see all our upcoming events and join us. And if you don't live in the Denver area, make your own Run on Grass organization. Get a bunch of runners together, or any athletes, and and share your passion for whatever it is you do, while also educating people on the importance of patients getting their medicine, the truth on the effects of marijuana, dispel some of those myths and help people recognize how important it is to legalize marijuana. It's so interesting to be in a setting like a half marathon and have someone run next to you and say, hey, what does your shirt mean? What is that? And think it's a joke at first. And then by the end of the conversation, they're like, of course I believe in marijuana legalization. But people are just often so surprised that when we break those stereotypes of what a marijuana activist looks like, they can really relate. And when the rubber hits the road, most people really don't believe all of the propaganda that they've heard and are happy to admit that. So speak out, speak loud, and speak in all kinds of different settings. So that's what's going on with Run on Grass. You can always start an organization in your area. And if you're interested in learning more about how to do that, please, again, don't hesitate to check us out on the website and contact us through there. So yeah, pretty fun. Went for a run this morning. My foot hurts like hell. If anyone's got any tips on what to do with a stress fracture outside of not running, let me know. I mean, that would be the obvious, is to let it heal, but yeah, right. It's too close to this marathon, and I'm not. It doesn't hurt that bad. Especially if I'm not on it. So anyway, yeah, pretty interesting weekend and week ahead. As always, we are looking forward to a full week of shows, and I think we're going to take another quick little break and be back for our wrap up. And so we will see you in a minute. Yeah, be right back on iCannabis Radio.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding, Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
Hi, welcome back. Welcome back. So it looks like if you are listening to us through like maybe Internet Explorer, you can see us, but if you're on Safari, maybe you can't. But don't worry, folks, it'll be up on the website momentarily. Just want to encourage everybody to make sure that they understand what's going on in their area with regards to any legislation, even if you don't think that it affects you, to learn about it. I think this Denver ad ban is a really important example. People think that, it just has to do with the businesses that run medical marijuana centers and so forth, and their ability to advertise. And really it has a whole lot to do with you as a patient too. One of the reasons why places advertise is because they need to get information to not just potential customers, but to the base of their business. And whether you shop at one store or you shop at several stores, the fact of the matter is that there are lots of people who need information, and the way that they get that is through advertising. I mean, I think you can think of the number of times that you did some research because you heard an advertisement that made you curious about something. And that's part of what the medical marijuana industry does is, it's not just targeting the 100,000 patients in Colorado. It's also a great educational source for people who may be considering medical marijuana who may have a debilitating condition and they have tried other things and they really feel like they need to try this, but they don't know a way to go about it. And limiting advertising, in all honesty, is going to limit their ability to get information. And limiting people's ability to get information is scary. I mean, that's what we fight against, and that's what we worry about when we have our elected officials who are telling us what information we can put out to the public and what we can't. It feels a lot like, again, the 1950s, or what we've gone to world wars over. It's not up to our city council, and certainly, this all came about because there are ads that were determined to be unsightly, or there were ads that were determined to be off-putting, and the reality is that could very well be true. And there's lots of other ads that we find to be off-putting and those kinds of things. And as a new industry, and as an industry that already starts with a lot of barriers to overcome, I certainly agree that we ought to be really thoughtful about the way in which we advertise, and make sure that we're advertising in a way that's seen as professional. And that isn't always the case. And I would hope that some of this would just weed itself out as we get to be stronger and more regulated, and there isn't a need to put your entire pricing schedule, and that you get a free joint with purchase in every window, or whatever might be seen as unseemly. I don't know exactly what examples may offend people, but right now people are just starting to get to be able to feel like, they can put things out there, and how that's taken by the public, and how well that advertising works. And whatever works is what businesses are going to do. And if you limit that, then people are going to find all kinds of other ways to advertise. And again, we don't even know what those unintended consequences are going to be. But if we're worried about someone handing somebody a T-shirt that has a company name on it, and that's somehow offensive, I think we've really missed the boat. I think that those far overreaching, broad strokes are so out of the realm of what we need to be doing at this point in time. I mean, really, very specifically, there have got to be some things that, if the city council received a lot of complaints, I hope those complaints were really about some very specific things, because if they were just about ads, well, that's kind of not something that the city council can do much about outside of what's been done with alcohol and tobacco ads and those kinds of things. And so I really would like to see the language in the bill reworked, revamped, rethought, and very, very specific to very, very specific problems, quote unquote problems. I personally don't know any of the specific complaints that the city council has received. I asked that question to Mike Elliott of the Medical Marijuana Industry Group, and he just said that they had received complaints. I suggested they find out the demographic of the people who made the complaints and what those complaints were specifically, because it feels like there's definitely some generalizations that are being made, and we're putting a ban into place based on maybe things that are not quite based on fact, and based more on opinion or emotion. And we know that's not a good idea. So, having been kind of a Debbie Downer tonight, I not really feeling like that. It's just this ad ban is a lot. It's a lot, and it's a disappointment, and I hope that the industry can really get together tonight and speak directly and get some direct feedback that the ban that was discussed with the industry groups does not represent the voice of the entire industry, nor does it represent us as patients. So there we are. I hope you feel empowered to contact your city council members, your legislators, your council people, and let them know how you feel about medical marijuana and marijuana legalization. So remember, you're listening to iCannabis Radio, and we've got a week's worth of shows. Don't forget, American Weed tomorrow starting at 6:30. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Mile High Wellness, Noda Urban Garden Supply, Edson Maitland and Mats, Medical Marijuana of the Rockies, MM 101, and Run on Grass. I'm Georgia, and I'm with producers Chris and Jason, and we want to thank you for listening, and we will see you guys next week. Good night.
Night.